Good afternoon. Today we're standing in the townland of Torroddy, in the parish of Caboyne, in the Lagan area of East Donegal. Beautiful countryside, beautiful day, middle of October. Typical Irish weather for middle of October. And today I want to introduce you to a descendant of the man who used to live in this house. This house one time belonged to the Wark family of Torroddy. So if we go around here, we will meet one of their descendants. Sandy.
Oh boy.
Nice to meet you. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Sandy has come all the way over from British Columbia in Western Canada to visit the home of his ancestors. Sandy is actually the great-great-grandson of John Wark, who emigrated from... Well, I'll let you tell the story, Sandy.
Well, he emigrated from here to join the Hudson's Bay Company. He went to the Orkneys, which was the main hiring point for the bay, and he came to, first of all, to what is now in eastern Canada, northern Ontario, and learnt the fur trade. And he then, in 1822, 23, came to what was known in those days as the Columbia District, which is comprised of Oregon, Washington states, and British Columbia. And he was positioned at Fort Colville, which is about 100 miles north of Spokane in eastern.
And he was working for the Hudson's Bay Company.
He was all with the Hudson's Bay Company. He spent his whole working life when he came to North America with the Bay.
Yeah. And he originally did some fur trapping, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he was a fur trader.
And he met up with some interesting ladies when he was there.
Well, he did. He had a native lady in what is now Ontario, and a couple of the Hudson's Bay Company records a couple of daughters from that union, but sadly doesn't have the poor lady's name.
No.
Then when he got to what is now Washington State and near Fort Colville, he met the lady he spent the rest of his life with, who was the daughter of a Spokane Indian mother and a French Indian mix, Canadian, or what we call today in Canada Métis, part French heritage,
and her name was?
Native. Her name was Josette Lagasse.
Josette Lagasse, and Josette Lagasse is your great-great-grandmother.
She is.
So Sandy, you, as well as having Ulster Scots blood in you, that's Scottish and Irish blood, you also have French blood and Native American.
I do indeed.
So you're a cosmopolitan character.
Yeah, that's it. And interestingly enough, my grandmother, who lived to be 99, was the granddaughter of John Wark and Josette, and Josette died in 1891. So my grandmother knew her quite well, and Josette spoke English with a French accent.
Very nice, very good.
Yeah.
And you also have another ancestor, I think he was John's brother, David Wark, is that right?
David, yeah.
Who also has a very interesting history, if you'd like to tell us about David.
David was in what is now Ontario, and I guess he was pretty successful. I'm not entirely sure what he did.
He must have followed his brother out there.
Yeah, he did. He was a younger brother, and he eventually was appointed to the Canadian Senate. He lived to be 101, and again, my grandmother, who had met him in Ottawa, reported that in his late 90s he could bound up the steps of the House of Parliament. So the work boys did pretty well out of in the New World.
They did.
They did. They worked hard. The fur trade wasn't easy.
No.
It was a tough life, but he succeeded.
And it all began here over about 220 years ago. Your treble great-grandfather, Henry Wark, lived in this house, in this farm in Torroddy. And unfortunately now, there are no works left in Torroddy. There's none left in Donegal that we know of either. And we think the very last of them, a lady called Jane Wark, died in Derry City in 1950. So it's good to have some of the works coming back from Canada to show us the sort of people that
Well, hey, it's a thrill to come and see it. I know it's crumbling, but it means a great deal to me to see it.
Well, it's good to show you around.
Thank you so much,
Thank
boy.
you very much,
Thank
sir.
you.